Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen Washington. This is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I would like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation. And welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, LaQuon Johnson, author of Generational Ignorance, and he is back to tell us about his latest book. Welcome to the show, LaQuon.
Thank you, Jen Dub. Happy to be here. Salute you, Queen.
Yes, thank you. It's always a pleasure and glad to have you back. And so you have the third book is out called Generational Ignorance. So kudos to you for that.
Yes.
All right. Yes. And so I did get through the majority of the book. And so I found a theme of generational curses. Would you say that generational curses was a theme or part of
generational curses and generational ignorance is definitely related. They are cousins. I'll say that. They're definitely cousins. Yes. They share the same DNA.
So I found some information online about generational curses I wanted to share before we kind of get started in our discussion here. So a generational curse refers to a negative cycle of behavior patterns, practices, or mindsets that are transmitted from generation to generation. A generational curse is a disadvantage that has spread through a family's history, and sometimes it can hold an individual back from achieving their ultimate goal. So dealing with a generational curse should know that destructive generational patterns do not have to define who they are or what they will become. Each person who has an opportunity to break the generational patterns through self-awareness, reflecting on the family history, and seeking out support. I did find that online. I was inspired by that little nugget. Wanted to share that about your kind of theme with the book. So what inspired generational ignorance?
Well, generational ignorance is actually based on a true story. You know what I'm saying? I say it's fictional, but every line and every word and every facet of generational ignorance is actually true. I just changed the names of the characters to protect, you know what I'm saying, to protect them. And so they won't feel that they will be being thrown to the wolves. But what inspired it? I mean, the fact of I actually, let me just be honest with the viewers, those of you that are going to read it. I myself am the character of Quentin in the book. Okay. I'm the character of Quentin. I lived this generational ignorance. I breathed it, felt it. I was amidst it at one point in time in my life. So I felt the need to get it off my chest so it can help guide and assist others that are probably amidst or among people that are generationally ignorant. So this was basically a chip on my shoulder that I had to relieve myself of. You understand? And after I did that, I felt so much lighter after I actually finished the whole manuscript. This was something that was on my mind for a long time.
Well, that's interesting. Your other two books have a parable type of style also, the motivational motives and then the habitual habitat and urban sermon.
Absolutely were. They're a little bit more embellished, and I would say that generational ignorance is my best work. Okay, I would say it's my best work because it's absolutely true. There was no reason, it was no way I could make any of that up. You understand? You know what I'm saying? So motivational motives, they were based on true stories, but they were embellished to a certain extent, just to heighten the effect that it has over the reader. You know what I mean? I have something I want to say about those three books combined.
Yes, I want you to kind of tie that in for us.
Sure. Now, you yourself, you have all three books, okay? So a reader that is looking for a LaQuon Johnson manuscript, in my professional opinion and personal opinion, I believe that someone should read the Motivational Motives book first. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, the Motivational Motives book, as you can see after you open up the first page, Jen Dub, there's a parable. There's a one-page parable of what this life thing is like. Life is like running a race. And I'll tell you guys what I'm talking about. Life is like running a race, and you're in second place. You have a person in back of you. You have a person in front of you. Okay, you're running the race. Now, let's say you're running your race and you keep on looking over your shoulder. What's going to happen inevitably? The person in first place is going to leave you. Let's say you're running your race and you keep on concentrating on the person in front of you. What's going to happen inevitably? The person in third place is going to pass you. However, if you run your race and concentrate on the here and now, on you, this is what's going to happen. You're going to leave the person in third place where you can't even see him back of them. You can't even see him back of you no more because they're so far behind. And you're going to inevitably pass the person in front of you. The person in back of you represents your past. That's who Jen Dub was yesterday. You understand? That's who she was. The person in front of you is who Jen Dub wants to be. So in essence, in life, you're running against thyself. You're not in competition with anyone. You understand? So if you concentrate on the here and now, on who Jen Dub is today, who Jen Dub was yesterday and last week, you're going to leave that so far behind. You're going to forget who that was. And you're going to exceed the expectations that you have for Jen Dub, for who you want her to be tomorrow. So I say that to say, if you understand that you are running this game called life, this race called life, okay, now you can move on to habitual habitat and urban sermon. Okay, now habitual habitat is about understanding what works for you and what doesn't. Okay, now check it out.
Okay.
After you understand that you're running your race, the only way you can understand you're running your own race is if, I'm gonna give you an example, Jen. Let's say when you were 7 years old, your mother or your grandmother said to you, "Hey, Jen, I want you to bake your cakes on Sunday at 7 o'clock for the rest of your life." And you're gonna say, "Okay, mommy, okay, grandma." You know why you're gonna say that? Because you're a child and you know mommy and grandma love you. And you're gonna bake your cake on Sunday at 7 o'clock. But when Jen Dub gets to be about 30 years old, now Jen got things to do at Sunday at 7 o'clock. And now Jen Dub is her own woman. Now you have a decision to make. Am I going to continue to bake my cake at Sunday at 7 o'clock? Or am I going to be not even woman enough, not even a man enough? Am I going to be courageous enough to look mommy or my grandma in her eye and say, "Ma, you know what? I'm tired of making my cakes at Sunday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to make my cakes on Tuesday at 2 p.m. And that's final, okay? Once you made that decision to tell mommy that, now you understand that you are running your own race, because you're not taking away from what mommy taught you. You're not taking away from what your grandmother taught you. You know what I mean? You're incorporating what they taught you into your own repertoire. That's why you're taking their baking habits, but you're just doing it in your own way, all right? So after you run your race, now you can move on to habitual habitat and say, "Hey, what works for me? What doesn't?" Okay. Now, when you're running this game, this race called life, now you have the tools necessary to win the race. Because we're not running the race just because we just want to get tired and get sweaty. No, you're running the race to win. You're running the race to leave the old Jen Dub in back of you and to exceed the expectations that you have for even yourself. Okay. And that's what habitual habitats teach. Now we move on to generational ignorance, okay? If one does not understand that they're running the race that they learn in motivational motives, and if one does not understand the bad and good habits that all of us have, they will become generationally ignorant. Jen Dub, I know the viewers can't see this, but I want you to look at the back cover of Generational Ignorance and tell me what you see.
I saw that picture of you. And you have like a wild look.
Don't describe act like you don't know that guy. What is your instinct on that guy? Act like he's not LaQuon Johnson. You see him walking down the street. What do you do? Honestly.
I mean, I would wonder if he was okay.
Exactly.
I would wonder.
Very well put. So my friends, the viewers that's listening to this, if you do not understand you're running your race and you do not concentrate on your habits, good and bad, you will become that person on the back of my book. You understand?
That was
You would.
intentional.
Yes, it was. Because you want to know something?
Okay.
Most of us, Jen, we're walking around with a smile on our face. Most of us, we're walking around with our nice clothes on. Most of us are walking around without jewelry in our cars. We live in our homes. But you know what? Inside, we feel and look just like that guy on the back of generational ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Okay. Okay.
So you have to, pardon me for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You have to read motives. You have to understand habitat to understand how ungenerationally ignorant you want to be, and understand the generational ignorance that we all have. We've all been born with these generational quote unquote curses, quote unquote ignorances. All of us. But when you understand you're running your race and you understand that you have control over your good and bad habits, you actually push away the generational ignorance and you become generationally intelligent. And now you have something to pass on to your offsprings other than the ignorances. You have wisdom to pass on to them.
Hey guys, that was a clip of the interview that I did with LaQuon Johnson, the author of Generational Ignorance, on my full podcast, Woke by Accident podcast. Check out the full interview on my podcast on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And I appreciate you for listening.
At this time, we are going to go ahead and conclude this episode. We do appreciate you listening. We do invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. The Gmail is wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And we are available on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Please go out and follow us, share, leave a review, tell a friend. And every time you listen, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you again, and take care.